Hello and welcome to this Feedinfo video on understanding and tackling heat stress. I am Ollie Theocaris, Head of Perspectives Content for Feedinfo. So today I am speaking to Barbara Auer from Agrana, who are supporting this video, about the timely topic of heat stress. We're going to be getting some really interesting technical insight into what heat stress is to different animals, how nutrition and heat stress are linked, and actually look to what future research can be done to tackle this problem. Hello, Barbara. It is great to have you here. To start with, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why the subject of heat stress is so timely and so important at this time?
Thanks, Ollie, for your warm welcome. My name is Barbara Auer. I'm Sales Director at Agrana, and I have been working in the feed industry more than 18 years. And now I'm responsible for the sales activities of our natural crystalline GMO-free betaine products. So no matter where you are sitting right now, still in home office or enjoying the first summer days outside, let's talk about heat stress. So we observe it and we feel it. Summers are getting warmer, winters are getting softer. In the past 5 years have been the warmest of the last 140 years. I grew up at the countryside in Austria near the Czech border. And I remember when I was little, we always had snowy winters, huge amount of snow. I remember one day where we were not able to go to school because of massive amounts of snow and big snowstorm. So climate is changing. The year 2016 ranks as the warmest on record. We suffer from heat stress, and so do our farm animals suffer from heat stress. According to independent analysis by NASA, Earth's global surface temperatures in 2019 were the second warmest since modern record keeping began in the year 1880. The color-coded map displays a progression of changing global surface temperature anomalies. Higher than normal temperatures are shown in red, and lower than normal temperatures are shown in blue. The difference between the early 1880s and now is obvious. Meteorological models forecast an increased frequency of heat waves in the next 50 years, with consequences on the total length of the summer season and the number of heat days, which means temperature higher than 30 degrees.
Thank you, Barbara. So clearly, given climate change, heat stress is a challenge that we're facing all over the world and not just in countries close to the equator. So can you tell our viewers a little bit about what heat stress actually is and why it exists?
Heat stress is a physiological condition when the core body temperature of a given species exceeds its range specified for normal activity. Animals become heat stressed when they have difficulty in achieving the balance between body heat loss and body heat production. At high environmental temperature, they rely on a range of mechanisms to regulate their body temperature within a comfort zone. All animals and birds have a zone of comfort, the so-called thermal neutral zone. This is the temperature range where they are most comfortable and productive. Technologically, it is the range of temperature where animals and poultry use no additional energy to maintain their core body temperature. So it is important that farmers and nutritionists understand the zone of comfort, environmental elements in which their animals perform best. In the table, you can see the comfort zone of different animal species. What can be said quite generally is that the zone of comfort for most animals is between 4 and 25 degrees Celsius. When temperature exceeds 25 degrees, animals start suffering from heat stress. A bird is most comfortable and grows faster in temperatures ranging from 10 till 20 degrees. These temperatures are those measured inside the poultry house at bird level. The bird can tolerate and adapt easier than other animals to temperatures of 20 till 25 degrees, but also above these temperatures, heat stress is evident. The normal body temperature of a broiler is 41 degrees. If the deep body temperature of the bird reaches 47 degrees Celsius, it dies from heat failure. To summarize, bird can be comfortable at more than one temperature. When you have to specify temperature, you have to specify airspeed over the bird, and you may have to specify humidity. It is not so easy to estimate how comfortable or stressful are the environmental conditions because the number of combination of environmental factors is very high. Air temperature and radiant temperature directly influence the heat exchange ability of an animal. Air velocity increases the amount of heat transferred from the surface of a skin, and the air movement can also improve evaporation, which assists in heat loss. Humidity can decrease the heat exchange and have debilitating effects on the animals. So altogether, temperature, humidity, wind, direct and indirect radiation influence the heat stress.
So what is actually happening anatomically when an animal is suffering from heat stress?
Let's have a look to a broiler experiences heat stress. In an effort to maintain body temperature, birds first rely on losing heat from blood vessels near the surface of the skin in a process called non-evaporative cooling. However, this mechanism is only effective when the ambient temperature is lower than the bird's body temperature. As the ambient temperature increases beyond the bird's thermoneutral zone, non-evaporative cooling becomes ineffective. At this temperature, the bird becomes reliant on panting as the mechanism for controlling body temperature, called evaporative cooling. Overall species increased body temperature and increased respiratory rate are directly linked. The blood flow shunts away from the core to extremities to dissipate heat. In that process, we get some interesting effects on the level of the gut. Decrease O2 and depletion of ATP, and it is always commonly called the leaky gut syndrome. This is when lipopolysaccharides go up in the blood and we see a decrease of nutrient absorption at the level of the gut. As a result, we see decrease in feed intake, weight loss, decreased milk. We see impaired oocyte and embryo development by females and reduced semen output and quality by males.
Now, you mentioned broilers there. Looking to other species, do we see the same reaction in heat stress in these animals?
Generally, the reaction is the same over all species. If an animal fails to control the thermal balance, they are getting heat stressed and the feed intake will decline. In short, production will suffer. Anyways, I try to separate it a bit. Let's take a look to the broiler sector. Here as well, heat stress impairs overall poultry production by decreasing feed intake and negatively affecting intestinal development, leading to reduced nutrient digestibility. Apart from inducing a high mortality rate, heat stress is known to depress growth and reduce milk yield in broilers. If layers If you look to the layers, lower feed intake impairs ovarian functions, leading to decreased feed efficiency, egg production like smaller eggs, and the egg quality, which may result in weaker eggshells. In addition, reduced immune function, such as thyroid activity and antibody production, are evident in poultry exposed to heat stress. Heat stress increases the production of oxidants, causing oxidative stress and lipid peroxidase of cell membranes. Similar effects can be seen in the pig sector, so poor milk production in sows, reduced fertility due to poorer semen quality and female infertility, reduced pulse rate and a very high respiration rate. if we look at the dairy cow sector, it can be said that especially high-yielding dairy cows produce more heat and are therefore more sensitive to high environmental temperature. Limiting heat production by reducing all activity and changing the feeding pattern are the majority consequences. A cow yielding 80 liters a day will generate 28% more body heat than a dry cow. A cow yielding 31 liters a day produces 48% more heat than a dry cow. As the majority of heat production in dairy cows is essentially due to rumen fermentation, the cow will reduce her dry matter intake by 10 up to 30%. The cow will also be selective in what she will eat, namely less roughage. Cows exhibiting signs of heat stress will become lethargic and inactive and will often stand with the head bowed. Perversely, cows suffering heat stress will often move closer together and stand in tightly packed groups. Milk yield can fail by as much as 20%. There will be also a reduction in fertility, including an increase in embryonic loss. There is also evidence of an increase in the risk of clinical mastitis.
So it's clear that this is a multi-species issue that we have to address because the consequences can be quite challenging for farmers. So I know what quite a few people might be thinking. What about just allowing the animals to drink more water? Can you explain why this might not be an effective solution to tackle heat stress?
Potassium is important in maintaining the intracellular water balance. A loss of potassium ions via urine reduces the ability to maintain this water balance. Consequent, while for example birds to compensate for water loss associated with panting by consuming more water, its retention in the body cells is limited by the simultaneous loss of electrolytes such as potassium in the urine. As a result, the bird will increase water intake to try and offset water loss. But the situation is more complicated by the fact that the body ability to retain the water is reduced as the evaporative cooling process escalates.
So if water is not an option, we may want to look to nutritional solutions to see what role they can play in addressing this issue. Can you talk a little bit about the link between nutrition and tackling this challenge?
In order to mitigate the negative effects of heat stress, animal producers can focus on the following. They have management strategies like cooling and ventilation of the animals. They have also nutritional strategies, that's where betaine comes up, and they have animal breeding strategies like genetic variations. Nutritional and management strategies are easier to follow than animal breeding strategies. Beside the technical solution, cooling and ventilation, for example, which improve the housing conditions under higher temperatures, nutrition strategies are gaining in interest as a useful solution to counteract heat stress. So natural betaine is well studied and successfully used in diets of monogastric animals. It is a proven nutritional aid to counter performance challenges, and it can be a part of every nutrient solution, especially during heat stress. Heat stress is considered as a major climate change related problem that the livestock sector is facing. The intensification of modern livestock production and the genetically improvement of performance may also contribute to the incidence of heat stress.
So there is clearly a role that nutrition can play in solving this challenge. Now, I know that you've referred to betaine there, which is a product that you produce at Agrana and has been shown to address heat stress in both monogastric and ruminant animals. Can you talk a little bit about the mode of action here and how betaine is effective to tackle this problem?
Betaine is a natural substance that can be found in a wide variety of plants and animal species. Agrana has a long tradition in sugar production and extracting liquid betaine from sugar beets. As a new product, we are offering a natural, crystalline, GMO-free betaine feed additive from sugar beets. So basically, betaine has two main functions. As first, it's functional as a methyl group donor, and as you can see, it provides three methyl groups for the synthesis of numerous substances intermediate in protein and energy metabolism, and it is involved in the DNA methylation. By replacing some of the added methionine and choline with natural betaine, farmers can save feeding costs. As a second, betaine acts as an osmolyte due to its twittonic structure, symbolized with plus and minus, helping maintaining the animal cell-water balance to protect cells and tissues from dehydration and osmotic inactivation. So water cannot be bound directly to the cell. It will move according to the prevailing concentration gradient of salts and solutes between the inside and the outside of a cell. Therefore, when the concentration is greater outside the cell, the water will be pulled out of the cell in an effort to balance the concentration gradient. The cell shrinks in volume and the concentration of ions and solutes increase inside the cell. If left uncorrected, the cell will eventually die. Maintaining the water balance and ions within the cell is essential for cell longevity and therefore the health of the bird. The cell must accumulate ions and osmolytes to counteract prevailing extracellular concentration gradients, and the bird employs ion pumps as a compensatory mechanism to control movement of water into and out of the cell. But the use has a high energy cost, with more energy diverted from growth and production to be used for maintenance purposes. By replacing some of the added dietary methionine and choline with natural betaine, farmers can save feeding costs. And why? Because energy is one of the major dietary cost factors in livestock production, and osmoregulatory responses are highly energy consuming processes. Betaine involving in the energy metabolism can reduce the energy required for the osmoregulation. The positive impact of betaine on bird performance suffering heat stress has also been demonstrated in commercial trials. In one of our trials conducted in Thailand, the results underlined the effect of natural betaine on the carcass quality of broilers in challenge conditions and the effect on the litter quality in broiler production, with less moisture in the litter comparing to the treatment without betaine or to the treatment with choline chloride. As you can see, the litter score is lowest in the diet treated with betaine, as the dry matter percentage and the litter moisture percentage has improved by the betaine treatments in comparison to the choline chloride and positive and negative control diets.
So I want to pick up on a point you made there about naturally derived betaine. We're hearing more and more consumers want not just animals that have been raised with certain welfare standards, but also they're caring more and more about what that animal ate. So are you seeing a shift in popularity towards more natural and plant-based products that you're selling?
Yes, definitively. The use of natural feed additive is gaining importance in animal production due to the ban on the use of certain antibiotics, harmful residual effects, and feed production trends. Based on the source, the natural source segment is expected to witness faster growth in the overall feed additive market during the forecast period till 2027. The growth of this segment is mainly attributed to the growing use of natural sourced feed additives to decrease the number of chronic diseases in livestock. Another reason are the high quality and production standards in the feed industry. Our natural betaine is fulfilling high quality standards, which makes it so popular because natural betaine is meeting high environmental standards.
I think this is a trend we can all see is growing and something that we all need to take into account and consider for our industry as a whole. So I want to finish up by looking to the future. I know that at Agrana you're doing quite a lot of research into this area, so it'd be really good to get an understanding of the next steps for this research and what we might expect for the future.
Agrana did a number of researches in monogastrics, but now I will focus on our last trial in ruminants. We worked on a project in collaboration with the Veterinary University in Vienna, here in Austria. This project was related to study in vitro, which aimed to test natural betaine as a positive, effective rumen modulator under normal physiological and under stressed rumen conditions. A rumen simultaneous technique, so-called RUSITEC, was used to evaluate the dose effects of betaine supplementation under normal, under heat stressed, and hyperosmotic stressed rumen conditions. According to our data, heat and hyperosmotic stress clearly suppressed rumen fermentation. To summarize the trial results, natural betaine promoted microbial fermentation activity, leading to more short-chain fatty acid production, decreasing the acetate to propionate ratio, and increasing propionate, the most important glucogenic precursor. We can interpret that betaine is used by the dominating microbes to support fermentation, crucial for ruminant health and productivity. The trial results are published in the Journal of Science of Food and Agriculture, as you can see here, for those who want to take a deeper look into the trial information and explanation. So we can say betaine is an effective rumen modulator. Based on the outcome, the next step would be to continue the investigations to find out the optimum dosage with the main focus on high-yielding dairy cows.
And what a great point to end on, and a bright future indeed. Thank you very much, Barbara, for your interesting insight into this subject. And if you would like to contact Agrana, you can do so via their website. Thank you very much for tuning into this video, and we hope you join us for future videos from Feedinfo.